Hi, my name is Emil Monty Freddie, and I would like to show you what I did to this image in Capture One. So this is a fashion story that I shot recently on the new system, and this is how the image looks like when I'm finished with it. So I kind of want to take you a few steps back and show you how it looks like in the beginning. So I'm gonna reset the image by pressing Command R. Like that. So this is how it looks like when it comes out of the camera. So basically the first thing I do is put on my crop. So I press C and then I can crop it in different ways. I can have some presets. This is set to unconstrained. Sometimes I like to work with like fixed proportions. 4:5 is a nice format for me to work in. And if you want to be a bit more wide, you can add like different dimensions to it. But let's say we work in the 5:7. So I put on my crop here. I can also, if I want the background behind the image to be something else, I can go up to preferences and I can turn up the brightness and the opacity. I like it to be white. So that's what I do here. And then I go into my settings here and normally I add a bit of contrast to begin with, and that makes the image pop a bit more than when it's just shot from like the raw image. And then I put a bit of saturation to it. And then you can also work a bit around levels. You have the different colors here. You have the red, the green, and the blue, and I come back to this later. But to begin with, I can just maybe narrow down my levels, and I can make the image pop a bit more by adding a bit to the front here on the highlights and the shadows. And then sometimes to add a bit of an offset look to my images. It's mostly something that I do with the black and white, but I can also try and just go a little bit in on this. Take the top off the things so it's not like black, but it's more like grayish in the bottom. So that gives me like a very high dynamic range in my image, and then I add a bit of more of a contrast like that. And then I would like to work a bit with the look of the image. So I add a bit of a blue in the shadows. And there's different ways to do this, but I like to do it in my levels like that. And then you can also play around with adding like the midtones, and if you could do more like this, I get a more of a cyan look to it. And then once you've started playing around with colors, you can go down to the curves tool, and that's where I also add a bit of more contrast to the image. I create like this S curve, and just be careful that the highlights doesn't go up too much. If I do like this, for instance, my highlights get too much and I lose information in my highlights. So I turn this down a bit more, back to where it was before. And then I can also take some of the highlights away in my high dynamic range window. And if I press Command E, it gives me the warning of when things starts burning out or when the shadows are too low. So if I click on that and I zoom into 100%, these are very big files, so it takes a little bit more. It's 100 megapixel. But if I zoom in here, the red gives me like the warning of when the image is too bright, when I have no more information in it. So that's like an indicator of my image being too overexposed or too underexposed. But the way it looks now is good. So I click it off again. And then I go back to like the full image. These are very heavy files. But this is the way that I would like my image to come out when I export it to Photoshop, and then I work around with the retouching afterwards. But so yeah, I would maybe just give it a little bit less contrast like this, so there's more tone specters to work with afterwards. So this is like my final image. If I press reset again, Command R, this is how it was before, and if I press undo, it comes back to like the final image. So this is a typical way of working with colors and cropping tools and all of the different materials that Capture One provides me in the new software. Thank you for watching. Bye.